What's up guys, Rajtronic here, welcome back to the Scrapyard. We're back with another round of card reviews. I'm a little bit behind schedule, but it is what it is. Feel free to leave comments if you agree or disagree down below, and as always I'm streaming to Twitch most days and also have my Discord links. Feel free to drop the likes and the follows and do the things. Okay, let's look at the cards. First up we have Bravens, I want to say. It's a 4 strength 11 provision legendary card, Nilfgaard. First keyword it's got is assimilate. And it basically, assimilate means every time you play a card that didn't start in your original deck, it gets +1 strength. Deploy, create and play a bronze disloyal Nilfgaard unit. So immediately it's going to buff itself by 1 because you're playing a card that you didn't start in your original deck. And then disloyal Nilfgaard unit means you're going to play a spying unit, which potentially could have further knock-on effects and draw cards, etc. I don't think this is a crazy good card. I think it's good, so I'm going to give it 4 pieces of scrap. Next up we have Cleric of the Flaming Rose. Did I say Faming? Cleric of the Flaming Rose. 4 strength 5 provision Syndicate card. Profit 2, so you immediately gain 2 coins. Tribute 2, spawn a Firesworn Zealot in this row, so you can immediately spend those 2 coins to spawn a Firesworn Zealot. And then it says Fee, transform a Firesworn Zealot into a Flaming Rose Footman. We'll come to Flaming Rose Footman in a second. As a standalone card, it's 4 strength that potentially can be 6 strength for 5 provisions. I don't think it's particularly exceptional as a standalone card, so I'm going to give it 3 pieces of scrap. Flaming Rose Footman, 3 strength with 1 armor, token, doomed, meaning it doesn't go to your graveyard, it immediately leaves the game once it's killed. Fairly average, it's not a card you can put in your deck. I think it's fairly middle of the road, I don't think it does anything special, so I'm going to give it 2 pieces of scrap. Next up we have Dai's Array. It's a legendary spell, 10 provisions, so it's got Echo, so again that keyword that says you can play it essentially 2 rounds in a row. Damage an enemy unit by 3 and boost all allied Firesworn units by 1. And then it says Death Blow, boost all allied units instead. So if you kill the unit that you're dealing 3 damage to, you boost all allied units. I think this is a crazy good card. I think this is a 5 piece of scrap card, and it doesn't even need to be in a Firesworn deck. Next up we have a 4 strength 6 provision Syndicate card, Fallen Knight. It's got Veil, meaning it can't be targeted, which means you can't buff it, but it also can't be poisoned or bled. It's also got Intimidate, which means every time you play a crime card, it's going to get a buff, which is very thematic if you ask me. So crime, it's a Fallen Knight, crime, it's kind of cool. Whenever you spawn a unit, boost self by 1 for each unit spawned. I think as a standalone card, it's pretty beige. I'm going to give it 3 pieces of scrap. I don't think it gets much more than that for what it is. Next up we have the Syndicate Evolving card, and it starts off as Jacques Miraculous Child. 6 strength 11 provision, profit 4, so you gain 4 coins immediately. Tribute 4, meaning you can spend 4 coins almost immediately. And it says spawn 2 Firesworn Zealots in this row. Firesworn Zealots are 2 strength. So essentially you play the card for 6 strength, you can immediately trigger its ability and gain 2 strength units. So that's 11 provisions for, if my maths is correct, 10 strength on the board immediately. If the card remains in your deck or your hand, it evolves into Jacques Aldersberg. Does the same thing, profit 4, tribute 4, but instead of spawning 2 Firesworn, it spawns 2 Flaming Rose Footmen that we mentioned previously in this row. So that's 6 plus 3 plus 3, that's 12 strength on board, 2 of which have armor, and it's still for your 11 provision obviously. And then it says Devotion at the start of the round while in hand or deck transform, so meaning if your entire deck is Syndicate cards, it then evolves again into Jacques Grandmaster. So profit 4, Veil, meaning it immediately gains the 4 coins, it now cannot be targeted, and then it says Tribute 4, spawn 2 Flaming Rose Footmen in the row, so it does what the previous version did, but also whenever you play a Firesworn card, boost self by 1. I think this is a really good card. I think it doesn't even need to go in a Firesworn deck as far as I'm concerned. I think all levels are pretty good, so I'm going to give it 4 pieces of scrap. Next up we have a Nilfgaard card. It's 1 strength 4 provision, pretty low. Mage Infiltrator, it's disloyal, so you play it on your opponent's side of the board. It says deploy damage adjacent units by 3. I think this is a really strong card, and it's going to go into a lot of Nilfgaard decks. 4 provision to do 6 damage to 2 different units. I'm going to give this 5 pieces of scrap. I think this is a crazy card for the provision cost it is. We now have Mage Torturer, 4 strength 5 provision. It's got Veil, meaning it can't be targeted. Assimilate, meaning whenever you play a card that didn't start in your deck, it gets +1 strength. And Deploy, given enemy unit spying. So now you can use cards that target spying units as a targetable ability. Standalone, I think it's pretty good. I'm going to give it 3 pieces of scrap. I don't think it deserves much more than that yet. Mutants Maker, 4 strength Syndicate card with 4 provision. Deploy, destroy an allied unit, then gain 3 coins, which is pretty bad unless you have some sort of death wish abilities, but you don't really have in Syndicate. And then Devotion, gain 3 coins instead. So if you put it in a Syndicate only deck, 4 strength for 3 coins is pretty good. Depends. I'm assuming most people are going to play this in Devotion, so it's going to be in most Devotion decks, so I'm going to give it 4 pieces of scrap. Next up, we've got Smuggle. It's Syndicate spell. Profit 3. Spawn a Flaming Rose Footman in an allied row. Not a bad card. 5 provision for a 3 strength unit, and you get 3 coins. Pretty middle of the road, but I'm going to give it 3 pieces of scrap. And that's everything we've got for this video. Feel free to leave a like. Feel free to comment below if you disagree. Thanks very much for checking out the video, and I'll see you in the next one.